live time as well, and we will be monitoring that. Um, so enjoy your break, and we'll see you back here shortly. Thank you.
Clock, so we will go ahead and get started with our transfer student panel. We do expect and hope for a couple additional students to join us when they're able to. I know that the weather has put a wrinkle in a lot of folks' plans. And there is one student who will unlikely be able to join us until the bottom of the hour, so the kind of last few minutes. But I'll moderate the panel. So we have at this point 3 transfer students who are here to bare their souls and share their experiences in transferring to Western. And I will moderate the chat. So just so you know, we have about 45 transfer advisors who are here from various community colleges in the Puget Sound. They serve transfer students, running start students, and international students. And they have some questions. I've got some questions too. So we'll just go ahead and get started. If you would start out by just introducing yourself. So your name, your pronouns, your major or minor, if you're minoring in anything, and then also where you transferred from. Maybe we could just go alphabetically to keep things simple.
I think that's me then. Hi, my name is Kate Brown. My pronouns are she, her. And my major, I'm doing the BS in biochemistry, and I hail from Everett Community College.
I go next. Hi everyone, my name is Eusenia Gomez. I am minoring in international business and I'm doubling minor in leadership in Spanish. I transferred from Lower Columbia College located in Longview, Washington.
And hi, my name is Melanie. I use she, her pronouns. I'm majoring in marine and coastal science with a minor in geology. I transferred from Whatcom Community College.
Thank you. Can you each describe your academic experience at Western so far, including anything that stands out as particularly an important experience or opportunity that you've been involved with?
Yeah, I can go first. So I've had a really good academic experience so far here at Western. I joined a research lab. I volunteer in a research lab, and that has been an amazing experience. I've gotten opportunities to go to conferences and present posters and give talks, and I think that that has been probably one of the most formative parts. And then also just kind of like my cohort and my relationship with my cohort in biochem has been really great.
Can go next. Yeah, for me, it's within my leadership minor. I have been able to progress a lot and being like in leadership positions, TAing for classes, and also like facilitate some of the classes with my professors. Something that really highlight was last year I was able to go to Indianapolis to the Purdue University for a week to do a research for their EPICS program that they have, which is kind of engineering but leading with like leadership and how to combine those two. So it was a really good experience for me and like for my other like team members to kind of like explore that. So overall, my experience in Western when it comes to my academics has been really great. I've been like growing and like seeing different angles from different like parts of education with my minor in Spanish, but also like leadership. And with that, with my business major, it's opening my eyes to like do more and also being more comfortable joining things that take me out of my comfort zone.
My academic experience at Western has been good. It's been pretty different, at least from my community college. Like I hadn't been like in a lecture hall until this year. So that was definitely a very different experience. But a lot of because I transferred towards like for the last 2 years, a lot of my classes are still pretty small, which I really like. I've gotten to know like my professors really well, which is awesome. And I've gotten the chance to go out on some of like to the Shannon Point Marine Center, which has been amazing. I've also gotten to take the scanning electron microscope class that Western offers, where they actually let undergraduates like use a scanning electron microscope, which is really uncommon when it comes to that level of equipment. So getting hands-on experience and training with that has just been like one of the big highlights. It's been so exciting. So yeah, I think the biggest difference is like the amount of equipment that we have and the sort of willingness to let students use it and learn about it has been really, really cool at Western.
Thank you. As a transfer student, how have you found community and built connections on campus? And are there any events or organizations that you would recommend for other transfer students?
So I did talk about joining a lab, and that for me has been a huge part of how I've created community for myself here at Western. I also am one of like I'm part of the leadership for the Molecular Bioscience Club. And that's been another really great way to kind of like meet like-minded people and be able to form connections that I wouldn't otherwise have just during my class time. So yeah, those are kind of, a couple of communities that have been really like influential for me.
Yeah, for me, it's been kind of different. I'm a first gen student and also I'm a student of color. So finding community is something really important for me where I go. But the way that I find community, at least for me, was really uncommon because when I transferred to Western, I decided to, before transferring, finding a job within the campus, like as a student employee. And that really helped me to build a big community because I started like working as a student supervisor at the Viking Union, which gave me the opportunity to start like connecting with my coworkers. So I built that like strong community. And then from that, like just meeting people who came at the desk and like start talking and like providing them with help. It really helped me to build community. But also in the Viking Union, we have the centers, which is like where we have all the like color students coalitions and clubs. So it was really easy to just like listen to them and like join clubs for like 1 or 2 meetings to like, start getting to know people. So for me, the way that I built community at Western was through work. And now I have 3 different positions around campus, which has helped me a lot to build a strong community and also just to open the doors for others to feel comfortable with my presence in there.
Yeah. For me, similar. Community, it did not come easy for me at Western. Actually, for like a lot of my first year, it was not there, which was really hard. I think I had such a strong community at my community college that transferring was just like a very big shock in that way. And so I eventually found community by sort of like trying to make community, like trying to forge a community space that I wish that I had when I got here. So I very quickly like um, there's a club that was just beginning. They wanted to form a marine science club, and so they just sort of got everyone together. And so I actually became the founding president for the Society of Promoting Learning in Aquatic Sciences and Habitats, with SPLASH, which is much shorter and easier to say. But we basically just do marine science, but you don't have to be a STEM major. And that for me was sort of how community started, was just like getting to be in that role and being like, sort of feeling like I could welcome people into the space and sort of welcome myself into the space by creating a space that I felt safe and okay. And so through that, I've found a lot of community. Now, since we've gotten to do a club fair, we have a lot of transfer students, which like every time I was talking to someone at the club fair and somebody mentioned being a transfer student, I was like, oh my gosh, me too. You should like, it's really hard to find community. So for me, just sort of that was a huge change, was just sort of trying to cultivate one actively. It was not an easy thing to do though, and I'm still sort of making it home 4 people and myself. So yeah, I think that answers it a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. We have a new panelist. Thank you so much for navigating our challenging Zoom situation today. Would you start out by introducing yourself? So your name, your pronouns, your major, and then the schools that you transferred from.
Sure. So my name is Makana Richter. I am a transfer junior, currently getting a degree in English with a film and media studies emphasis. Before this, and pronouns he, him. Before this, I actually have transferred 3 times. I first went to Chapman University for screenwriting, then to Arizona State for a communications degree, then to the University of Hawaii for a film degree, and finally landed here at Western, and very much enjoying myself here. And yeah.
Thank you. The question that you kind of entered in on, if you feel like answering it, is how have you found community and built connections on campus, and what would you recommend to other new transfers who are looking for that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in my jumping around, it definitely was tough to have to readapt every time. I got pretty lucky with Western in that I applied for a position in student engagement. So arts and music productions here, I was lucky enough to get the director position, and that really opened up a lot of opportunities to not only get to know my coworkers, but also put on events and get to know a lot of different people from all over the campus. So I had a unique, I guess, windfall after a lot of difficulty trying to find community. So yeah, Western has been really welcoming and really open for someone like me in that kind of position. So yeah, my advice is just look for opportunities on campus. Always check job boards and clubs like Splash. That sounds really cool. Look for things like that.
Awesome, thank you. What resources are available on campus to foster student success that you're aware of, and how well do you think they meet your needs or the needs of Western students?
I guess I'll go first again. So I think the resources that I've really kind of, taken advantage of the most are like the tutoring center. So that's like free for all students, and I've spent a decent amount of time in the tutoring center, and that's kind of helped with my success. And then honestly, like as far as like academic success goes, my biggest resource has really been the professors themselves. Like a lot of professors have like a really great, kind of like they want to help you succeed, and you go to office hours and that kind of thing, and that's been super helpful for me, at least.
Can go next. Yeah, for me is I'm gonna talk more of like what I have on my hands or like close by me. Something that is like recently or like it got recently at the centers is something called La Plaza, which is for students of color that need a peer advisor or a mentor. They're opening more this space to give students, giving them like advising and how to create schedules. And I work at the BRC, which is the Blue Resources Center for our undocumented students and students with mixed status. We also help students with resources that they need. So I am one of those resources that you can come to if you need help or support, and we can help students connect. I know when you're a transfer student, it's kind of hard to adjust yourself to new things and find those resources. So we have a lot of resources. Another resource that I know, and is because one of my close friends working there, is with the admissions, which is the first gen mentors that they create. I think they started this year on fall quarter. There is like students who join this group. They have a mentor and they meet once a week to kind of do check-ins and see how they can support the student. Something that I have seen more close of is it's kind of hard to go by yourself to clubs or join events. So your mentor is there to help you, like having that support with you to go to these events. My friend is always like welcoming students. Say, okay, you need help, you need support. I can go with you to this club, even if it's not something that I really feel interest of. I'm gonna go with you so you can start like making the connections. And when I transfer, I think it's the same. They combine this resource, which is for first gen students, for transfer students. When I transfer, I decided to join that because I wanted to have a mentor, someone who already knew some of the resources on campus. And I also had one mentor myself, which really helped me to kind of start like feeling comfortable going to tutoring center, emailing my professors for office hours. Because I think something that is really common for people to say it is that when you transfer to university, it's hard to talk to your professors. So it was really hard for me when I transferred to feel comfortable, but finding the resources of support and also finding my professors as a resource was really helpful. So those are the resources that we have, is like finding a lot of mentors. There's a lot of mentor resources on campus.
The main resource I think I use is the DAC. They help with accessibility accommodations for students. Like as a neurodivergent student, there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily promised that it can help a lot with sort of taking in classes and success. So being able to have testing accommodations and extra time that fit my needs is really awesome. The professors have been I'd say equally cool with it at Western as they were at my past institution. And so that's made a huge difference for me, is being able to sort of reach out to them and get accommodations that help me succeed in the classroom. And so that's been a real game changer. And the people there are really, really nice. And then also there's technology support. So when I needed help with something very simple of my computer not doing what it needed to do and I had no idea where to start, there was peer other students from the school there to help for tech support and answer my questions, and they were really cool and totally understood that I didn't know very much about it at all, and helped me fix the problem. So I really like that there's student workers sort of at every step, so you can talk to a near peer sort of mentor or helper, which I think makes a big difference. So yeah, the DAC and then tech support in the, it's not part of the library, but it's connected to it. So
Yeah, I would say definitely leaning on your transfer advisors is a huge bump in terms of just feeling confident in heading into your classes. At least it was for me. Also on campus, kind of leaning into that a little bit, actually. I was going to say the library. You'd be amazed just how much is there in terms of resources. Even if it's, really cold out and kind of sucky, just feeling how, those feelings can come up when it is really cold and dark outside. They even rent out sun lamps. I mean, little tiny things that you wouldn't expect that really can boost your day and, help you with your academics and just life in general. So I'd say, yeah, really exploring the library and just seeing all that it has to offer is something that really helped me throughout my campus experience so far.
Thank you. As we all know, and probably best of all, navigating the transfer process can be really confusing. It can be really overwhelming. There's a lot of information and it's hard to know where to look for it and who to ask for it and how to make sense of it. So what helped you feel prepared, and what would have been beneficial to know, or what do you wish you would have known either before or after transferring? So either kind of reflecting at your past self when you were at your previous institution, or after transitioning to Western?
Yeah, so that part was kind of challenging for me, because I feel like Everett Community College was really great in a lot of ways, but I think counseling to transfer was kind of difficult. Like, I think that, for example, like my degree was a transfer degree, but it wasn't a direct transfer agreement. So I wound up still having GURs here. That was a surprise to me, you know? And so I think that that kind of thing, you know, really kind of like learning how to like seek out that information and like really just ask direct questions and knowing what questions to ask can be really hard. You know, and things like just different honors programs and stuff like that that I didn't know about until I really like got here and started talking to like Western advisors and stuff like that. So that for me was probably the biggest challenge. But other than that, like academically, I was really prepared to transfer. And so like it really was just like the finer details of like how credits transfer that I think was more challenging for me to navigate.
Yeah, for me, I think same. It was kind of hard to adjust myself and like how to transfer. But something that I would say like make sure to check is when I was like filling out my application to transfer, I wasn't filling out the correct one. And it was tough because like there's like multiple applications. So you have to choose the correct one. So for me, that was like one of the challenges was like I had all this application complete and I found out it was not the correct one. So I had to do it over again. Um, when it comes to like, I also transferred with a general transfer degree, and but I always knew that I kind of wanted to lead myself more to business major. So when I was in my community college, I started asking for help, and I think that's really tough sometimes asking for help. But I think it's one of the best ways that you can like navigate transferring is asking for help. So before transferring to Western, I scheduled an appointment with one of the advisors for the business school. And I told them like, I'm not sure which major I want to do. I just know that it's on business. I'm doing a general transfer degree. Do you have any recommendations? I would love to do like all my URs, my community college. And it was really helpful for me to do that because then at my community college, I start taking only classes that will transfer towards my business major. Um, so that was really helpful to find advisors in both sizes. Once I decided that I was going to transfer to Western, I tried to unify my advisor side from my community college with the like advisor here at Western, and I worked together with them, kind of like I was making a bridge so I couldn't like transfer all my credits and be more into like the path that I wanted to do. So transferring my credits was not that hard because I had really like make this connection with both of them, and they have helped me a lot to transfer my credits. But I also make sure to always look what classes you want to take because it's kind of confusing sometimes. But yeah, for transferring, it was kind of hard for me at least, the application was hard. So I was always asking for help. And for my part of the essay, I was also like always trying someone to help me with that and like making sure I was providing the right information.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot I wish that I knew. I was really fortunate at Western. My mentors in the geology department, and the math center, like, were very knowledgeable about sort of what can happen when students transfer. There's something called transfer shock, which occurs for students moving from a 2-year institution to a 4-year institution. And I was really fortunate that I had like been introduced to those papers about that sort of like phenomena, and sort of how students can really be suffering from just the change of scale, how classes are operating. You're adjusting to so much that it really is just sort of like makes you suffer to acclimate. And it's really, really hard. So I was really fortunate that I was aware of that. It didn't stop it from happening. And I totally underestimated how bad it would be. But when I was like going through the worst parts of it, it really helped to sort of be able to even grasp for like terms to like search or read about, or even begin to articulate it, of just sort of like, oh, I'm experiencing transfer shock and it's pretty bad. Really was a very big game changer for me. I was very thankful that I had been introduced to that concept. For me, the articulation agreements were also a huge challenge, sort of like how community colleges and the four-year institutions are talking to one another and preparing sort of like, can community college students easily transfer in and finish within 4 years? How accessible is that? How clear is it what they need to do? And for my specific degree, I reached out to I was talking to my transfer advisors a lot at Whatcom, and I reached out to my degree once when I was 2 years in, and then again when I was 3 years in at Whatcom. And they didn't have someone on the Western side to advise for that degree yet because it was new. And so that's not really their fault, but the advice that I got was basically, I asked if I could transfer in then, but I would only have my GURs covered. And they were like, yeah, the degree is not built for you to go in with just your GURs. You need science prereqs covered too. So I was like, okay, could I just have my science prereqs covered and then do GURs there? And they were like, yeah, it's not really built for you to not have your science prereqs. So with the information I had, it felt like my only option was to get 2 degrees. So I ended up staying another year and getting 2 associate degrees, and transferred in. So I think just sort of, again, that's not everyone's experience, but that's the one I had. So it's sort of the communication between the 4-year institutions and the 2-year institutions. If it's not very good, you can really struggle with what students understand that they need to do before they transfer and how much time they may be wasting. I mean, I don't believe my time was really wasted, but it is really difficult. I wish I had understood the process better and what I actually needed before transferring. So yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I learned that was super helpful is I'm not sure if it's across every department, but at least in the English department, there are survey classes, which are very similar to your typical class, but they're actually catered towards transfer students. And so the professors are actually there to not only teach their subject matter, but also are very knowledgeable in the transfer process and will give tips and tricks on how to navigate that. So if there are any classes that you find that you have to take for a certain major, there may be a survey option, and that was super helpful for me. It's also already been said, but asking for help can be really tough. Another aspect to that is advocating for yourself can be really tough. And there were quite a lot of credits of mine that just kind of entered into electives. And just by reaching out to department heads and saying, hey, I think this actually does satisfy this. And, here's a syllabus from my previous school, all these kind of things. I was actually able to get a lot more GURs covered than the initial, I guess, forecast gave me. So yeah, really finding the ability to kind of question, where the credits are being placed, and if you think they cover something that they're currently not, go ahead and ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, and the worst case, you'll just get a no and got to go cover it anyway. But you might get some GURs covered that you didn't initially have covered. So.
Hi, Kyle, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, so your name, your pronouns, the academic programs that you're pursuing at Western, and then also where you transferred from.
Hi, my name is Kyle. I had some technical issues trying to get into it today. So I'm he, him pronouns. I transferred from Walla Walla Community College, and I am currently in the political science department, going for my major, trying to determine whether or not I focus solely on political science or with a social studies in addition to it. And then I'm also getting my minor in honors interdisciplinary studies at the Honors College at Western.
Can you talk a little bit about what the Honors College offers and what the experience has been like specifically as a transfer student? Because that's one that maybe people are less familiar with.
Yeah, so I when I got my associates, which is a direct transfer degree associates from Walla Walla, I did it with an honors. So I completed the honors courses that were offered at Walla Walla Community College, and I was interested in continuing my honors program at Western. However, I was surprised that transfer students needed to take the first year sequence that most freshmen need to take during their first year in Western, if they also wanted to get honors, the honors minor, or seek an honors mark on their degree that they are applying for. It, however, was very interesting, and I actually have enjoyed my courses so far through the Honors College. It allows me to read texts and information that I otherwise wouldn't have, and it is fully ingrained with discussion and forums that allows personal speaking of experience and opinions and mindsets that is otherwise not commonplace in a lecture style class. And I think the sharing of those ideas and opinions and your own personal experiences and then relating it to texts that are foundational for human existence and history is so impactful and something that we can always relate to our common era. So being able to study that through the Honors College and then adapting that to our field of choice for political science, such as myself, is really important. And for many others, they do it through a psychology lens, or even through a biology or criminal justice or ecological lens, which is just always so fascinating. So I think the Honors College is so intrinsic for students that want to take that above and beyond step and get a better, like a firmer grasp on others around them and their perspectives, and being open-minded to other types of information and knowledge.
Thank you. Hi, Jessica. I know you had class, so thank you for joining us here. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, your name, your pronouns, what you're studying, and where you're transferred from.
Okay, sorry, it took me a minute to unmute myself. I was like, where's the button? Why is it not working? Okay, my name is Jessica B. I use she, her pronouns. I am a student at Fairhaven, Western Washington University. And what was there another question? I'm sorry.
Where you transferred from.
Oh, and I transferred most recently from Central Michigan University, but I also got my associates from Whatcom Community College.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I will ask a few more questions since we have more panelists now. You're all welcome to answer them, but if you feel like your answer is similar enough to something that's already been said, we can keep moving as well. The next question is, what are some of the differences between your experience at Western compared with your previous college, especially if that was a community college? Did anything catch you by surprise, or were there any differences in academic expectations?
Yeah, I think Melanie really covered it as far as like, like the transfer student shock, because the class size is so much different. And like my community class size was really small. And so like everybody got to know each other really well. And then you kind of come here and like it's such a massive campus, and that's the majority of that has been the difference. Like academically, I think they were held to like pretty similar standards, but I think just like the overall learning environment changes a lot, right? Which can be a little daunting until you kind of like get used to it. But yeah, Melanie talked about it really well. The kind of the shock, the size difference, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think
Sorry.
sorry. Yeah, I think for me it was kind of different because my community college experience as a student was fully online. Only my first quarter was in person, and then COVID hit. So my full experience was online. And when I transferred to Western, I started adjusting myself to be in person and do more in-person classes. At the beginning, I was kind of hard, so I decided to do kind of like some classes online and some in person to kind of like adjust myself. So my whole experience at Western was more of getting to know what's like the setup of higher education in person and being in classes with a lot of students, but also some of my classes were really like not big, but like at least like 40 students in the class. And then other classes were only like 10 students. I even had a class where we were just like 5 because of a project. So it's been really like my experience from community college was really different. And also because in my community college in my last year, I was working as a full-time employee at the community college. So when I transferred to Western, it was kind of like shocking, I guess, to just come back as a student and learn from a student view another like different ways to do. But yeah, my experience was different because I was really focused on only like online learning, and now I'm more focused on only like in-person learning and just been introducing myself to a lot of people and raising my hands to ask questions, which is kind of like hard sometimes because we tend to like look to see who's asking the question. But yeah, I think that was the only differences that I found, and maybe that the campus is bigger, so I have to manage my time to commute from one place to another and finding like my classes. All of that was kind of like tricky when I moved here. But what I kind of like navigate to do is coming 2 days earlier from the quarter to walk around campus and figure it out where my classes are. And transportation was another like thing that I found difficult because my community college was close by home. So I didn't have to like use it public transportation. I used my car to get there. Parking was not that crazy. So when I moved here, it was a shock to find parking and then learn how to use the bus. That is a big resource, I feel like, for everyone is to use bus. So that was the only like big shock that I had was like using public transportation to navigate and find the routes and which one to take and how to get to like specific spots.
I was going to
Uh-huh.
say that for me, transferring into Fairhaven, the class size seems really similar to, for the most part, at Fairhaven, not main campus classes, but at Fairhaven, the class size seems very similar, or maybe even a little smaller than the Whatcom Community College classes I took. I did take a lot online, like Christina was saying, and so being in person exclusively now that's probably the bigger shock. But I would agree that knowing and utilizing the public transportation is a huge deal. That's how I get to and from the college campus most of the 3 days of the week that I'm here. And I live an hour outside of Bellingham, so it's an hour and a half bus ride to get here, but I still feel like that's way better than me driving every time I have to come to the campus. Besides figuring out parking and everything else, the gas and all that, it's a lot. And, so I would say also, in the main campus classes, the larger class size, my classes are not huge, but they are bigger than what I experienced at Whatcom Community College or Central Michigan University as well. And that's fine. I've just been really appreciative of the teachers and how well they manage that. And yeah, if someone was talking to me about my class schedule, mentioning like the time it takes to walk between classes is pretty important because like I have 10 minutes between two of my classes, and it's like an 8-minute walk. So if there's any weather or a class runs long or something, I'm going to be late to that other class, and I really have to manage that time really well. And yeah, and I'd say also I'm a non-traditional student, and I've felt, at least at Fairhaven College and Western in general, that it's just been a really great space to transfer into as a non-traditional student. So I would say if you are coming from, a career position like I am, or transferring and you're an older adult or something, I would still recommend Western to folks, because I feel like the campus does a really good job of making space for all different types of learners.
Thank you. We have
One,
about 5 minutes late. Oh, you want to hop in there, McKenna? Go ahead.
just one quick
Yeah.
thing is, I was someone who came from a semester system, so the quarter system was a huge academic shift. So I was just gonna say, as someone who likes to take, 18 credits a semester, that's very different in a quarter system, and I would not recommend doing that. So definitely talking with your advisors to know what kind of load you're taking on each quarter. It's a totally different animal from semester system, so adapting to that is important. That was all.
Great. So we have about 5 minutes left. So if you could just each maybe wrap up with an answer to one of the following questions. Either what advice would you offer to students transferring to Western? So there's something you feel like we haven't covered. Or what are your future educational and career plans? So what can we see you doing in the future? Either one of those would be great.
Yeah, so I graduate next quarter. I'm pretty proud of that. It took me 5 years to do my bachelor's. I had dropped out of college, or dropped out of high school, gotten a GED, and then went back later in life. I'm also a non-traditional student and have 2 kids, and I'm graduating, very, very proud, and I'm applying and interviewing for PhD programs in molecular biosciences. And so that's kind of what you'll see me doing. Hopefully one day, Dr. Brown.
I can go next. So for myself, as a student of color, I always take my privilege to be here and the opportunity to be here to like make representation. I would say my advice is to don't be scared of finding new things outside of your comfort zone, and always like find opportunities, because there is always opportunities for everyone. It's kind of hard to explore new areas, and more when you're like a first generation student and you're teaching yourself, but also teaching your family how to understand and navigate the academic system. So I will say my advice to all the students is, even if you're scared, jump into the opportunities. You're gonna find great opportunities and explore different areas on campus. If you transfer to Western, there is a lot of opportunities in here and a lot of areas that you can explore. I am the type of person who likes to get involved and be part of things, and just be the voice for those who have a voice but are not sure how to use their voices. And I found a lot of support here in Western, a lot of community, and I would say just jump into opportunities. I'm also going to be graduating next quarter with my bachelor degree and my 2 minors, and I'm hoping to work for a year and then go back to do my MBA in business and leadership, or MBA in hospitality. Yeah.
My advice would be to find spaces that feel safe for you, especially like finding faculty that sort of either can relate to your experience, like either are also non-traditional students, first gen. That was a huge game changer for me. It's just finding like professors that just got it. I didn't have to explain myself. They just understood like any piece of me. I didn't have to explain my existence to them, and what I was going through. That made a huge difference. And so finding those professors, like reaching out to them if they have extra time, or just like checking in with them, made a really big difference. So like sort of find those like lighthouses if you can. I'm also graduating next quarter. It took me 6 years full time to get my bachelor's, 2 associates, and I am doing my second interview for a master's program in physical oceanography at University of Alaska Fairbanks on Friday this week. So hopefully.
Yeah, after all my hopping around, I'm actually going to be sticking around here at Western to get my master's, hopefully. So that does speak to how cool Western really is. Uh, and the only bit of advice I have is, as someone who's come from like Hawaii or, Orange, California schools, Western can sometimes feel a little introverted. But I promise you, there are a lot of really cool people here, and you just got to go to events and clubs and just maybe be that extroverted voice if you're not necessarily used to that, and you'll find your people out here. So
As another non-traditional student coming back to school after approximately 10-year gap, the best advice that I can give for advisors and other transfer students is communication. Communicate what you are looking for in your class and what you're looking to get out of it, and communication to your advisors or your students that you're advising, as well as your instructors. They're here to help you, and a lot of times when life hits you, it's good to communicate with your instructors and let them know, because they're on your side and they want to help you, and they want to help you with the curriculum and to get you on track and to make sure that you're understanding everything. And then take advantage of tutoring in the tutoring center and all the knowledge that's available through peer advisors and things like that is incredible. I currently work for Whatcom County for the elections office, and I help facilitate elections. And after Western, I still have a year left, but I'm looking to work there full time and to possibly seek elected office afterwards.
All right, I guess I will share that I am going to be part of the climate leadership cohort. So I'll be doing a summer internship related to climate leadership. And I just started that last month in January. And I am also looking forward to graduating, but not until spring of 2026 at the earliest. And then the other thing, my advice is definitely to go after scholarships, encourage, because I didn't think I'd get a scholarship. I didn't feel like I had any qualifications or anything, especially after a long gap between getting my associates and attending Central Michigan, like 10 years, 11 years, something like that. And I got a scholarship, and it's been incredibly helpful. So I wish that I had felt more confident in going after those. And so any work to do that, especially for non-traditional students, is a great idea.
Oh, thank you all so much. I wish we could continue this conversation for the whole afternoon, because this is just, it's really an honor to hear your story. So thank you for sharing with us. You all are incredible, doing really, really fantastic things. And it's so exciting to think and celebrate you as we think through what you're going to accomplish at Western and beyond. I will be following up with each of the panelists via email to thank you for your time. And I have also an important announcement for the folks who are going to take a lunch break here and come back for the breakout sessions. We actually have a different Zoom link that we are going to need you to join. Somehow the breakout sessions weren't able to be set up with this link. So Lisa just put it in the chat. And if you can save that, I will try to figure out if I can grab the email addresses from the registration and email it to you so it's in your inboxes. But if you could quick grab that now, that would be fantastic. And so we will see you after the break at 12:30. Again, students, thank you so much for sharing with us. It's really impactful.
Thank you so much for having us.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.